All right, we're live. Welcome, everybody. I'm Natasha.
I'm Karen.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Cheryl, and my screen says
Cheryl's here, I swear. But we can't hear her.
I can hear her, and she looks the best of any of us, seriously.
You can hear her?
Yeah.
It's weird. Do you hear her, Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
Back before she froze.
This is strange.
Froze?
I wonder why I can't.
Nope, you're back.
I wonder if the if YouTube is going to pick up on her or not. I'm sorry. I don't know what to do about that.
I can try to call again.
Because if it doesn't, and I try and edit this, it's going to be strange. I just can't imagine why you guys can hear her and I can't. And now she's gone. All right. Anyway, she's going to come back. Everybody, we are gathered here today to discuss a pair of bills, which are both in the House and the Senate, which are infuriating. Senate version US S301, House version US HR 644. The Conscience Protection Act of 2017. This bill amends the Public Health Service Act to codify the prohibition against the federal government and state and local governments that receive federal financial assistance for health-related activities, penalizing or discriminating against a healthcare provider based on the provider's refusal to be involved in or provide coverage for abortion. That is the opening line for this. And what it kind of comes down to is that this is framed under the guise of not being forced to perform abortions if it is against your religion or personal views, but it winds up having much farther reaching impacts than that. And Sarah wrote a very informative blog post about it that I linked to in the newsletter. If Sarah, you would like to take it away.
Yeah, sure. So pretty much exactly what you said about it. There has been a lot of policies and acts and stuff like that in the past that have kind of already addressed the issue as how most of us would think that it makes sense. So, if you are against it, I understand that it's not something you want to do and you shouldn't be prosecuted for that, but also there's people that need life-saving things out there. And so pretty much the only thing that this bill does is enable people to sue if they feel as though they are discriminated for those reasons. It's not that it is currently allowed that you can discriminate against those reasons. That hasn't been allowed since the 1970s from the church amendments. If you receive federal funding, you cannot discriminate based upon if a hospital or a provider or a person doesn't want to participate in abortion. It was also added for physician-assisted suicide. And so both of those, I definitely, if that's something that you really feel deeply that you don't want to do, I understand having those moral convictions, and I think they're really important. The issue is that it only takes into account the things that are passed on a federal level. So when we talk about discrimination on basis of gender/sex, currently nationally, gender identity and gender expression are not included in anything that would apply to this. So the Obama administration had passed some policies that specifically said that you can't not treat someone because you don't like the fact that they're LGBTQA. And this appointment of the new division of the HHS has kind of taken that away, and they've made a very strong point about how they will obey all of the national discrimination laws and think it's super great because people don't realize that that's not something that's protected, which it's not. And so it's kind of one of those things where people are already protected from it, and allowing this is one of the things that will most certainly lead to a slippery slope because it's already been happening. And, you know, there's tons of stories about LGBTQ people being refused treatment at like pediatrics if it's a lesbian couple that has a baby, like someone didn't want to see their baby because there was lesbian parents. Fertility clinics. One woman didn't get provided post-operational care after an abortion from another woman. So those are kind of the general things. There's a couple stories that keep, you know, going around everywhere, just like those. There's one woman who is, you know, the poster child for this bill that was forced to participate in a 22-week abortion at a hospital. And, you know, it was really not fun for her, which I can understand. But the thing that isn't covered when we talk about a lot of these is abortions are not usually performed in hospitals. And if they are, it's because there's some sort of medical problem. If you are getting an abortion because you do not want to have a child, you usually have an abortion at an abortion clinic, and nurses and healthcare providers that work there are obviously pro-choice. So then it gets into the nuances of you don't want to do something that is a medical necessary procedure for someone. So that's kind of where the slippery slopey kind of deal with that works. I don't know if Karen has any more to put into that. I know you researched it too.
Well, yeah, so you've done a good job explaining what so it's a policy that has existed kind of since we legalized abortion, right? Part of Obamacare, it's in there. It says that you can't discriminate against people funding wise, but that's because the federal government, like, that's how they control things, is they control the funding. And so they're sorry. So that is how it is. But making it into a law like this gives, power to sue. Also just like makes it that much more clear that that is going to be with us forever. And to me, it's a step in the wrong direction. You gave some great examples in your blog post and just now, and I think probably we can let Natasha get mad about the little baby who clearly never did anything to anyone, but couldn't get any treatment. This is ridiculous. But to me, this all comes down to we all have rights, and sometimes my rights come in conflict with your rights. So then whose rights win? And so the freedom of religion is a First Amendment right. And the First Amendment is what makes America, America. And it's very important. And we shouldn't just, say, don't worry about religious or religious stuff or religious morals. Like, no, we shouldn't discriminate against religious people either, right? So that's all, it's not a black and white issue. It's a gray issue. And it's because rights are coming into conflict. And I shouldn't get to just take away your rights because of my rights. But when we're talking about medical stuff, it feels like we're in a different area now, because we're not talking about just your right freedom of speech or your right to not make a cake based on whatever. But we're talking about like somebody's life and, life, happiness in the pursuit of whatever. That's more fun. Cheers.
Hear, hear. Yeah, well, and like I think that one of the main things from it too is that gosh, I literally just forgot what I was going to say, Natasha.
Well, let's let Cheryl bring in, because she's the one who got so excited about this.
Natasha, can you hear me? I don't think Natasha can hear me. Can you hear me, Karen?
No, I can. You're coming.
Maybe you can.
I can't hear her at all. I don't know what to. I got nothing.
Figure out how she could dial in with a phone. All right, we're gonna try to figure out how to do a phone number to call.
Okay.
To this, you can call into this video?
Well, you can with a normal Hangout.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Can you invite people? Is there a place where you can invite people?
It's only giving me an option for a link.
No, I'm sorry, Cheryl. We can't get you to call in. Hold up signs, because this is your topic.
Yeah, I feel that because, like, wasn't this happening last week where I couldn't hear her too? I don't know what's happening. Like I said, Google has been on my bad side lately. They have been very uncooperative. The issue that I was going to bring up before Sarah lost her train of thought, I put this in the newsletter for the broadcast this week. There was a woman who applied for a job with a pharmacy, and she said in her application that she would not be willing to fill prescriptions for birth control, whatever form of birth control. And they told her that they weren't interested in hiring her, and she sued them. And they settled, which is basically she won. And that is the kind of thing that gets me super frustrated, because this is your job. And there comes a point where I'm like, if you're just not going to do your job, then find a new job. Like, that's kind of on you, because you have to know that that's going to be part of what your career is. It's an enormous part of it.
It's a little weird to apply for a job you don't want to do.
It's clear. It feels pretty clear to me that she applied for a job wanting to make a point, and they played right into her hands by telling her not that they were going with another candidate, but telling her explicitly that they wouldn't be hiring her because she wouldn't perform the duties that she was being hired for. And that was exactly the ammunition that she needed to set up a case. And I feel very frustrated with them that they did not see that coming, because it seems really obvious. But yeah, I'm like because I completely agree with you, Karen, in that you need to realize that even though you may not agree with somebody's stance in this being a really difficult issue for them, that it's for them, it really is a matter of conscience, that they would feel like they would carry the fact that they participated in this with them for the rest of their life. And I can't relate to that because I don't feel that way, but that's very real for them. But then there comes the point where, it's something like, I won't take care of this baby because of whom you choose to sleep with. And that feels so different to me. Like, really? You couldn't live with yourself for caring for this innocent child because of who her parents are? Is that really how your conscience works? Because that feels completely backward. Your conscience should be on the behalf of the child who needs care, and not, so it is a really murky issue that there gets to a point for me that I can no longer put myself in their shoes and understand where they're coming from. And whether or not where I draw the line is valid is very much up for debate. Everybody has their line in a different spot.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the general issue of this is moral convictions are your sense of right and wrong, and all of us are on a spectrum for that. And a point that one of my friends, we were talking about it, and if I put at the end of my blog that you swear the Hippocratic Oath if you're a doctor, which is do no harm. And so it's pretty much you have to give the best possible care with the idea in mind to do the least amount of harm at all times. And there's people who have to treat people that they hate and think are the worst people and are totally against their moral compass for very real reasons, like Black doctors having to treat people who have swastikas tattooed on them. They have to do that because that is what they promised to do. And these people will be like, well, part of this is to help people, and this doesn't help them, and blah, blah, blah. And okay, I guess you can make that argument, but people still have to do things that they don't want to do. And for way more tangible things that you can see than having religious beliefs. And I believe that religious beliefs are so important, and you are so allowed to have those opinions and beliefs, but when it comes to things like this, you have to step back. And exactly what you said, don't have a job in this if you can't do your job. Like, you get fired from a job if you can't do your job, no matter what reason it's for, because you got hired to do a job. And so now that there's these protections and you can say, I don't want to do this, and have suits and settlements and all of those things, it's just ridiculous, and it makes me annoyed. Yeah.
Sure. Why treat an alcoholic if the doctor doesn't agree with the moral choice of being an alcoholic?
Right.
All right. So that was Cheryl's point, and I want to agree with you and then make another one of Cheryl's points. So yes, Sarah, doctors in wartime have to treat enemy combatants if they get, so, you've got a Nazi, he's injured, you still have to treat him, even though you may not agree with his fundamental beliefs. And so that's part of being a doctor. So it's just part of that. Where does the battle of rights start and end? So I was listening to a podcast earlier today about an anti-discrimination case that was about desegregation. And it was interesting, but the person who was not letting Black people into his restaurant said, when you give them rights, you're stepping on my rights. And yeah, but it's also all right. But that's like, you have to keep that in mind.
It's sort of like one step away from the like tolerating intolerance thing.
Yeah.
So,
but the government's argument was discrimination is not just bad and morally wrong, but in addition, there's lots of reasons. But one argument you could make is it's bad for the economy, because by making Black people feel unsafe in your town, you're discouraging tourism, you're discouraging Black people from participating in the economy, you're hurting the whole economy of the state. And so I want to now move to something that Cheryl just said, which is if you are gay and you go to a doctor, you may feel compelled to lie about being gay to make sure you get coverage. Or if you have an opposing religious point of view, you may have to try to hide that, except some of that might be relevant information to what's wrong with you. And so lying to your doctor. And as we know from House, TV show, it's bad to lie to your doctor. So that was Cheryl's point, and I think totally valid. Like, you're making medical care less safe for people who need medical care, because they have to worry about like if their doctor's judging them, and that's terrible. It's hard enough to tell the doctor what's wrong anyway. But all of this is to say we don't agree with the policy. We can't, the policy is not what we can talk about today. We can just try to keep from walking one more step in the wrong direction. This law is just one more step in the wrong direction. And I think we should be stepping back from that cliff, that we should be saying, no, wait, society has changed. Certain things are more accepted. We should be making it less okay to discriminate against a variety of things, not more okay. And so this law would be going in the wrong direction.
The article in the Atlantic, they said that there had been 10 complaints from healthcare workers related to religious beliefs during the Obama administration, and there have already been 34 in the first year of the Trump presidency.
Wow.
Well, and one last thing I wanted to bring up that I put in the article is like Trump announced this right before the March for Life. And the one thing that's just like killing me about this administration is like they're not even trying to hide things now, or like trying to like go like it's literally like we're going to announce this right before the March for Life, so all of the people that are in the base and super anti-abortion and super pro-lifers will like get super riled up about it, and like all these things because they're already riled up about it. And like he became the first president to ever address that rally sitting president. Yeah. And it's just like, if you look at the data, that's not how America feels. And then like his speech was like, nobody in America supports abortion except for like the crazy, horrible liberals and like blah, blah. And it's just like, dude, that's not what it is. And like you wrinkly old sack of whatever can't tell me what to do with my body. Like I hate like watching him try to tell me that. Like I just like sit there and I'm like,
I'm really enjoying Sarah going from a nuanced and thought out argument to just devolving into shut your fat trap, you wrinkled sack. Because that feels accurate to my life.
I try to like have the nice ones that are thought out and not passionate, but my God, I was reading that stupid speech and I was just like,
yeah.
Oh no, we're all gonna die.
Well, if what Natasha just said, there's 10 cases in 8 years. So as with
he's letting people like, oh,
yeah. But as with most of these issues, it's a philosophical point, but it's an important one because it sends a signal for what our society is supposed to be like. This is a signal that no, it's okay to be all these horrible things.
Yeah, very true.
Okay, you just made Cheryl laugh as well.
Oh my God, it looked like a Muppet.
But a very angry one.
So I'm sorry, I'm getting a bad echo from somebody. It's making my speaking like slow down because my brain's trying to process it.
It's probably me.
My House representative is a sponsor of the House version. So
both of your senators are sponsors of the Senate version.
And like, this is one of the moments where I just am like, I'm going to call. Of course I'm going to call and be like, what is wrong with you? But also it feels so fruitless because I know where they stand and they're not budging on something like this at all. Like, Ratcliffe is more consistent about posting on Facebook and sending emails about abortion and abortion related issues than any other topic that has come up, be it gun rights or like anything. This is always the thing that I see him talking about. So I am, just
frame it. You can frame it in not a pro or an anti-abortion way. You can frame it as, I'm afraid of what this will lead to. I'm afraid to the discrimination that we are opening ourselves up to, as Sarah just pointed out, and it's already happening. And that's not what we're supposed to be about. So we already got the policies in place to protect people from discrimination. This law sends the wrong signal and takes us in the wrong direction. That's I don't know. That's what I think.
I mean, I think you're right, but I don't think that's going to make a difference. That's how, like, that where I'm feeling right now is that he is framing this in a very specific way because that's his agenda and it always has been. And that no matter how I frame it, he's going to turn it right back around and be like, well, so yeah, that's where I'm at on that. But
well, you're not. Yeah, I'm afraid you're not wrong. But we got to try. He can't just get to have his
try.
Because he represents you.
I love getting the weird email a month later from him too that I've been getting, where he'll like contact me ages later about something and be like, well, while we might not agree on this issue, I am dedicated to representing Texans. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh, that thing I called about 8 weeks ago. Okay. Yeah, good follow-up.
Which of our many disagreements are you referring to?
All right, I'm going to call him. I'm doing it.
Do it. Love it.
I also am not 100% sure I could call because I'm in the basement.
Hi, I was calling to share my opinion on a bill.
Okay, and what is your name?
Natasha Kingston.
Okay, I know, I think I've spoken with you before, but will you remind me where you live?
Sure, Denison, Texas.
Denison, okay. All right, and which bill is it?
HR 644, the Conscience Protection Act of 2017.
HR 644?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what is your opinion?
I was calling because I'm really concerned about this bill starting us down a slippery slope of medical professionals being able to deny service to people for a variety of reasons. We have already seen this being used to deny treatment to children because their parents are gay, or deny treatment to trans people. And I'm just really worried that while I understand the reticence of someone who does not believe in abortion to perform an abortion, and I fully agree that they should not be forced to do that. I just worry that the language in this bill is so broad that it could be twisted and used as a way to simply discriminate against people.
Okay. Let's write this down.
Sure.
Okay, and in the meantime, I looked up that bill.
Oh, great.
Okay, excellent. Is that all?
That is it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for your call. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yay.
Score!
She remembered me.
One, she remembered you. Two, she sounded like she took you seriously. And I think that actually got tallied in a legitimate way.
Yeah, I have it's funny how like just small signals and you're like feeling so much more satisfied with your call than you would otherwise. Thank you, phone answering lady.
She sounded like she halfway cared.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Sarah, who are you going to call? Do you want to go
I'm going to
first?
call Corey. I'll
right.
try to call. It says I have 2 bars, so we'll see.
Okay. Are you calling DC?
Colorado.
Okay, good. I'll call DC.
It doesn't look like it's going to go through. I don't think it's going to go through down here. Oh, wait.
Yeah, there it is.
Wait. I thought I had Wi-Fi calling enabled on here, but apparently I didn't. So you call, and I'll get this set up, and then I can call.
All right.
Hi, this is Corey Gardner, your senator from the great state of Colorado. Thanks for calling my office. Please listen to the following options to leave a message. Press 1 to share your thoughts with me and leave a comment. Press 2.
Oh, that's new.
Please leave a message.
Hi, I'm calling with my opinion about a bill. My name is Karen Suhaka, and I am a constituent from Denver. My zip code is 80203. I am calling about Senate Bill 301, the Conscious Protection Act. Although the policies to allow for freedom of conscience for the medical community have been around for decades, I'm concerned about codifying them into law like this. I respect the freedom of religion principles that this country was founded on, but we do need to be careful when religious freedom rights conflict with our civil rights, especially when it comes to healthcare. One example that comes to mind is the recent Michigan pediatrician who refused care for a baby of lesbian parents. I'm 100% positive that little baby has done nothing to deserve being denied medical care. This is the direction that we're going to be heading. I think we need to rethink and possibly even update these policies to make sure they strike the right balance in today's world. Passing this bill would only make it more difficult to navigate these troubled waters. I'm happy to see that you are not signed up as a sponsor to this bill. I appreciate that. And I'm hoping you might even consider voting against its passage if it comes up for vote. Thank you for listening to my opinion.
Okay, so you called DC.
That was DC. Usually you get a person in DC.
At least his voicemail isn't as sickly as Ted Cruz's.
Ted Cruz kills me.
Thank you for calling the office of U.S. Senator Corey Gardner. We are open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's either after hours or all of our representatives are on the other line. If you know your party's extension, please dial that now. If you would like to leave a message, please dial 0. We'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Your call is being transferred.
I don't understand. on us.
Thank you for calling U.S. Senator Cory Gardner's office. Please leave your message after the tone. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sarah Johnson, and I live in 80211. And I was calling about Senate Bill 301, the Conscious Protection Act of 2017. I wanted to share my opinion on where I think this bill could possibly lead us. The protections for people to not be discriminated against are already in place, and I do believe those are important. But I think that where this bill could possibly lead us is extremely dangerous and a step back from the equality that we are all striving to reach as a nation as a whole. Every year we're fighting more and more, and this is definitely something that I think could lead us cascading back. Healthcare workers have a professional and ethical obligation to provide healthcare to everybody who needs it. And every American deserves the ability to access when they need medical necessary healthcare, and it should never be determined by the personal opinions of anybody that has control over that. And I don't think that this bill becoming law will do anything but create further discrimination. So I would ask you to please vote against it if it comes up. Thank you very much.
Whoop, whoop.
Nice. Sounded sincere.
I feel bad because Cheryl was the one that was like really about this, and now she can't call on the air. I'm sorry, Cheryl.
She's calling right now.
I'm sure she is.
Just a minute. She's calling her Republican senator.
Oh, I'm seeing now the other chat. Sorry, I've got like 3 chat windows open. I have the chat for us in Hangouts. I have the chat from the YouTube, and then there's the chat that I just saw that pops up in my email window. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. Cheryl is saying to us that she's calling Roy Blunt. Yay. So yeah, my apologies, Cheryl.
I'm so sorry, Cheryl, and you even joined us.
Yeah, because she had said initially, guys, that she wasn't going to be able to make it today, and then she got excited because she could, but it was all a farce.
It's a cruel, cruel joke.
But I really encourage everybody to please sign up for the newsletter, because I try and pack it full of as much information as I can. It's shareable, and it's just a really each one of the newsletters is like a micro reference that I actually use as the template for uploading to the website. And that way, all of that information is contained somewhere for you to go back and look at it as well. So yeah, go and check that out. If you go to the Facebook page, there's a sign up button, and there's also a sign up for a newsletter at the top of the website, which I did update, Sarah, from the Facebook page, because it changed. So those of you who had been using the old address, my apologies, because it no longer is valid, but it is the broadcastpodcast.wordpress.com.
We are trying to do some research so that you will feel confident that you know the issue and some context, so that you can make a call and be sure that you're not sounding stupid.
Exactly. All right. Well, I think that's wrapping us up for today.
All right.
Thank you, ladies, very much for coming and for all of your work and research and writings.
Okay. Great seeing y'all.
See you next week.
Okay. See you next week.